Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on where you are in the world. This is Gloria White, and I'm coming to you from Utah, USA. Today we're continuing in Russia and China in prophecy, biblical prophecy, and we are in section 2, and so this would be 2E, and this is titled Russia's Revenge. Russia shrewdly evaluated these events and saw an opportunity. After watching and not interfering as Germany and the U.S. sponsored Kosovo's independence, Moscow reasoned that it had the right to sponsor the independence of South Ossetia and Abkhazia from Georgia. So that's South Ossetia, Ossetia, and Abkhazia. It's Abkhazia from Georgia. These two breakaway regions have many Russian sympathizers, and if the US or Europe objected, Russia would say, "Hey, that's what you did in Kosovo and the Balkans. You just went in and conquered the whole area. Don't accuse us for simply doing what you did." When Russia made its move in August 2008, the strategy worked to perfection. The Russians knew the United States would denounce their attack, Friedman wrote. This actually plays into Russian hands. The more vocal senior leaders are, the greater the contrast with their inaction. And the Russians wanted to drive home the idea that America guarantees are empty talk. Does Russia fear America? Not very much. And it used this opportunity to make the U.S. look stupid and weak before the whole world. Russia had been planning for this invasion for some time. As Ralph Peters wrote in the New York Post, let's be clear. For all that, U.S. commentators and diplomats are still chattering about Russia's response to Georgia's actions. The Kremlin spent months planning and preparing this operation. Any soldier above the grade of private can tell you that there's absolutely no way Moscow could have launched this huge ground, air, and sea offensive in an instantaneous response to alleged Georgian actions. So it's impossible for them to have instantaneously put together the attack that they used against in Georgia. Not Georgia in the United States. Every one of these things required careful preparations. In the words of one U.S. officer, just to line up the airlift sorties would have taken weeks. Working through their mercenaries in South Ossetia, Russia staged brutal provocations against Georgia from late July onward. Last Thursday, Georgia's president finally had to act to defend his own people. But when the mouse stirred, the cat pounced. August 12, 2008. This was a war of revenge, and it was planned months, perhaps years in advance. Vladimir Putin is called the Prime Minister of Russia, but this is a cover-up. He clearly is the dictator of Russia. He may not appear to exercise the kind of brutality of some of his predecessors, but he certainly is intent on using whatever power is necessary to secure his country's resources and make Russia into a global power. When his former KGB agent calls the Soviet collapse a disaster, you have to believe he is going to do something about it. Remember how Adolf Hitler told the world exactly what he was going to do in his book, Mein Kampf, years before he did it. Why will he never heed such warnings? Why will we never heed such warnings? What have the Democrats been saying? The war in Georgia, therefore, is Russia's public return to great power status. That is exactly right. The Bible warns us to expect a great power rising from the east. It calls it Kings of the East. That can be found in Revelation 16:12. The attack on Georgia was the first act of war from the Kings of the East. Okay, so we'll label that Part 2E. And as always, I love you.